If you don't work, you don't eat. According to St. Paul, that was more or less how Mom and Dad raised three of us kids. Not so much regarding food, eating, because growing up as a kid, eating is a good discipline. It's formational, accepting what's been provided for you with gratitude, knowing that many others go without food. So it develops a sense of gratitude, but also it helps the child to cultivate a good sense of good nutritional choices. But then also, it seems that it helps so that maybe they understand that their likes or their preferences are not the ultimate arbitrator of what should be done. Because there will be times when temptation appears quite sweet and the food of righteousness quite hard to swallow, yet it's precisely that which needs to be done. Much easier to have that encounter at 5 years old with green beans than 17 years old with alcohol and pornography. For us, it wasn't so much food, you don't work, you don't eat, but it was, if you don't work, you don't play sports. At least that's what it was for me. No work, no baseball. Now on the farm we had plenty of work to do. We would string out irrigation pipe so that the crops could be watered, and then at the end of the season pick it up. We had farm animals. At one time we had 100 head of sheep. And I don't know why the youths chose to have their lambs in the winter, but they did. And it was our responsibility as kids, middle of the night, get in the overalls. It was not too far, less than a quarter mile. And when we had winters instead of summer until, I don't know, Christmas, we walked out in the snow, middle of the night, checking on the ewes, and if they were having lambs and having problems, well, we remained with them. Farm animals and, of course, working fields. Plowing, yes, but I still remember probably at the age of 4th or 5th grade being given a big machete to go through the fields and cut out the big pigweeds and the cane that grew up. I don't know why Dad didn't have those sprayed. I guess he was organic before organic was a thing. As he likes to say now, there were no child labor laws back then. Heat of the summer, walking through the field, cutting down weeds. No work, no sports. Paul understands that providing for the needs of the community is a duty of all members. 3 times in this short passage, he uses a word that's translated twice in our reading as disorderly. You might think of it more as like stepping out of line, which could call to mind like a marching band, or maybe a drill team, or like synchronized swimming. And he's saying, when you're not doing your work and you're taking advantage of others, it's like you're stepping out of line. And you're confusing others, and you're presenting a witness that is not so enjoyable to behold, right? Don't step out of line, he says. Don't take advantage of others by pretending you're working or doing what you can. We've given you an example, he says here, and he says it elsewhere. As an apostle, as a preacher, he said, we have a right to expect that since we're working for you, you'll provide the necessities of life for us. But he said, we're not exercising that right. In addition to doing the work of an apostle, we're going beyond that, and we're working, how do you describe it? In toil and drudgery. Think your life is bad. Toil and drudgery, so as to give you a good example. We're going beyond the basic minimum so that you might have a good example to imitate. I currently don't have a second job. I did see an ad by John Deere the other day that looked kind of appealing. I thought maybe I should look into that. But I tried to take on work that parishioners could do, volunteer, or that other parishes will just pay to have done because, well, it's true what St. Paul says. We have a responsibility for the good of the people here. You see, he understood the church as a family. So just as we'd say there's something wrong if a family member ignores work that they could do, forcing someone else to do it, I didn't see the clothes that were left there, or the trash, or the dishes. Just as we'd say, well, something's amiss with that, so St. Paul is saying it's true in the church. And his verdict is, no work, no food. He actually gives a great line. Those who don't work, what should they do? They should eat their own food. They don't have any food, he's saying. You're going to go hungry. But actually, it's more severe than if you don't work, you don't eat. Our reading stopped at verse 12. Verse 13 says, my dear family, don't get tired of doing what is right. Don't give in. Do what is right. And then 14 and 15 say, if anyone refuses to obey what we say in this letter, note that person and have nothing to do with him, that he may be ashamed. Don't look on him as an enemy, but warn him as a brother. It's not to be mean, he's saying. It's out of love for that person who clearly has something off in their heart, and that life could be better just as we know it's better when we contribute generously to the good of the family or the community. Pretty serious, isn't it? At least as St. Paul saw it. Friends, surely this invites us to consider our activity in this family of JP2. Are you eating? Are you benefiting from lights and air conditioning in mid-November? Then he's saying, then you should be contributing. Not what's left over, what you just happen to think of, but first fruits is what the scripture says, which is an expression of your conviction that he provides not only your first fruits, but those also won't be the last fruits that he provides for you. Are you, hoping that a priest will be available, to give you the last rites? Well, invest yourself here so that there is a priest to care for you. Are you looking forward to, a child getting married in the new church? Or maybe their children getting baptized there? Well, then everyone should be pledging towards it. But of course, it's just not at the material level. It's not enough to earn a paycheck and do nothing more for the family, but there's this emotional, moral level. What you can do, you should do, he says. Pick up a hymnal. Respond to the responses. Invest yourself. Don't just allow people to serve as greeters or ushers or readers without doing what you can do. Our servers are here week in and week out, and they do a stellar job, and we ask this of them to help them cultivate their sense of responsibility for their own personal faith life, yes, and for developing that responsibility so that when they're a husband and a father, they might more likely fulfill that responsibility. Don't forget, friends, that Protestant services are very different than a Catholic liturgy. Liturgy in the original Greek means divine work. It takes effort to be involved in this. And unless we're expending effort, well, we're not getting back what we can, and we feel like we're not getting anything. Those who don't work or contribute should not eat, according to St. Paul. It's the approach that we've taken across the board. If people want to attend, send their kids to our academy, we present, here's what life looks like as a disciple, and this is part of it. We had 3 baptisms last night, which is fantastic, and we say to those families too, here's what life as a Christian looks like. If you want this, then you must invest yourself in this way. Ultimately, friends, it's not about raising money. Never in Scripture is it about raising money. Never is it about singling somebody out. It always has to do with love. Love doesn't take advantage of the other, but makes a gift of oneself for the other. So St. Paul is simply inviting us to assess our love and rise to meet the responsibilities that would help us, to be more mature members of God's family.